Manufacturers are West Virginia's investors, innovators, and job creators. With nearly 48,000 direct employees impacting the careers of 250,000 West Virginians, making the products you use every day, from automotive and wood manufacturing to chemical components and medicine. I'm Rebecca McPhail, and this is Made with West Virginia Pride. Starting in the early 1970s with the production of one of the first needlework organizers, family-owned Kreinik Manufacturing produces high-quality threads for needlework and fly fishing applications. Kreinik takes pride in having nourished the craft and creative industries for more than 4 decades from their operation in Parkersburg, West Virginia. From West Virginia to the world, let's take a look at Kreinik Manufacturing. Doug, thanks so much for having us out today. I look forward to going through and seeing what you're making with West Virginia Pride here in Parkersburg. But let's start with just a little bit of the history of Kreinik and how the company was founded and how you have come to run the company here in Parkersburg.
Well, in 1972, my dad kind of asked my mom if she could organize her materials because they were all over the car. So she came back and she created a needlework organizer. And she had been a teacher in major universities teaching clothing, and so she created this item that enabled her to organize her threads. And so then my dad started selling it online because he had lost his job with one of the chemical companies in the area, and so they just created this from knowledge they had picked up over 30 years. And so they created lines of different lines using needlework. And then in '78 they started working with silk threads, and then in '79 they came up with the idea of doing things with metallic threads. My dad had gone to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, and he saw the use of metallics in the embroidery. So he had worked back in the Navy in the '50s and took some ideas from there and applied them to needlework industry and created a line of braided metallics. And so he changed the whole industry that we have today. So this is how it starts out. This is a material that is it's a polyester material that has it's vacuum coated with aluminum. So the finished product looks like this. So what we do, this is a number 16 braid. So that means we take 16 ends, or around that many, to make this braid. And then this would be used for jewelry. It would be used for needlepoint, fashion, or anything like that. So these are many of the colors we have. Of course, these are limited colors. We have 54 colors here, but we have actually 260 colors.
Oh my.
This is for machine embroidery right here, and then we have scissors, and then this is our fly fishing area, where the fly fishing, this material is used for the back part of the fly, for the tail. And so we have 90 colors that people can choose from. And then we have manufacturers who have us blend colors together and to come up with different effects. And we have holographic colors, and we have UV colors, and we have glow-in-the-dark colors. And so all these things that, you gotta find the right thing to attract the fish. This material over here is an iron-on thread. The iron-on thread can iron onto paper, glass, wood, and fabric. We originally got into this with the scrapbooking market. We then went into the quilt market. Card makers like this, costumers like this. A lot of young people cannot sew, so they put this on and they decorate it. And if you're 3 feet away, it looks real anyway. And then we have our line of shoelaces, lanyards, and eyeglass strings. These came about. A portion of the monies for this go towards a program my wife and I set up for grief counseling, suicide prevention, and drug addiction in our son's name.
So Doug, this is kind of where the process starts. In this room there are some machines. Tell us a little bit about those and where you are today with production versus where you were when the company started.
Well, these are called braiding machines. The braiding machines are designed to, it's almost like weaving, and you're taking threads on bobbins and you're blending it together to make either a round braid or a flat braid. And so we have round braiding machines and flat braiding machines in here. And they're all different sizes. We have like number 8 braiders, number 16 braiders. So depending upon what we want to make, that's the type of braid we use. Some of these machines in this room are over 100 years old, but they're great machines. Some of these machines came from Goodyear Tire and Rubber. It was used to make the braids in the braided material that went in the radial tires.
Oh my.
So, you take the same machines and use them for different things. My maintenance engineer over here says that never throw anything away, and the parts are here. So we can make things out of lots of things that we already have, which we often do.
How much are you producing? I mean, how many meters, yards, whatever the measure?
I think in the number, in one of our fine braids, we did over 1 million meters this past year, which is, when you think about that, that's a lot.
Oh yeah.
And and oftentimes what we're producing, we're shipping out the same day. What we're doing is we're going through the threads here to see if there are any bad spots. Rebecca's pretty sharp on finding bad spots, and so when we find a bad spot, we cut it out and put it in the box that's down there, and then we take that cone off of there and we put it on the shelf, where we pass it to winding over here. These are automatic machines that, and we actually get the spools from a company down in West Virginia, and they make the spools for us. And these are called snap spools, and they snap together and they hold the thread in there. And what we're doing over here, we're just finishing them off.
So Doug, we talk about with our manufacturers from West Virginia to the world, Kreinik is a little different because it's not the world, but maybe the fashion world. Tell us a fun fact about the thread that you have.
Well, this particular thread I have here was one that was used on Game of Thrones. Queen Cersei in Game of Thrones came out to talk to her masses, and her shoulders were encrusted with would look like metal. Well, that metal was actually this thread, and this thread is special because we make it with wire in it so it can be stretched and shaped. So they can even bead in there. So it's kind of a unique thread. And we work with them in a number of episodes, like the Queen of the North's robe that you saw in the last minute of Game of Thrones had all this embroidery on it, and all that embroidery was our silks and our metallics. People, and that we're trying to get people out of the box, and to just, get away from, well, the chart says to do this. Well, the chart might say to do this, but you can do this. You can use these threads to do this. You can use creativity and imagination. My one thing I write in when I sign my autograph is threads visualize thoughts. And I want people to understand that they can use threads in many, many different ways to create different images and different effects. But there are a lot of people who are afraid, and they don't like to get out of that box. But we've always gotten out of the box. We've always dealt with ideas and imagination, because with imagination and creativity, that's how you create a better world.
Thank you. What a great afternoon. I learned so much about what you're doing at Kreinik and the history of the company, how you've gone from West Virginia to the fashion world, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks. We really like to show off. We like people to visit. We've handled bus tours here, and we think it's a lot of fun because people like to see how product is made. And so we take people on the tours so they can appreciate thread more.
From the highways and the back roads, over the mountains and in the valleys, there is something made with West Virginia pride around every corner. Things you use at home and at work every single day. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you'll get to know your local manufacturers. For more information, please visit www.wvma.com. We'll see you next time.